Yo, BIP of Bizarre Interest Productions here, and I completely forgot I had 2 Kamen Rider videos planned, huh? Well, thanks for clicking, and if you made it this far, type Kamen Crush in the comments below. Okay, so the title of this video is interesting because I love crossovers, especially when it's in one franchise, and usually one thing a lot of people love seeing is crossovers and crossover relationships. Like, what type of characters would gel together if they've never met before and did decide to meet for the first time? Kamen Rider did this with a lot of their current and either past or future series teaming up to meet one another, and I like that. For me though, it kind of sucks because I've heard they aren't going to be doing those much anymore, because I would actually be inside to watch Gav quicker, since from what I've heard and seen, their cast and Gottschalk's cast would get along pretty damn well. But this is about romance, and you know what? The idea of shipping characters from different seasons has always been something I've wanted to do as a video project. The problem is I haven't seen every season, and even though I know a lot about basically every season to some extent, that might cause an issue for you guys, especially those with more experience when it comes to my choices. But I will say I did all of this in good fun. Besides, my main issue is that I was trying to come up with couples who are in seasons that aren't even next to one another. So unless Toei decides to do more crossovers involving Kamen Riders for more than 3 seasons, again, like Girls Remix, which would be a good topic to cover for Women's History Month if I can't do it for Black History Month. Also in the fact that, like, no one in the Toku community I've seen has talked about it, and while I don't like to consider myself part of any fandom, especially given how toxic the Toku community can be, I want to talk about it. I will make a note of that to do in the future. But yeah, let's just have some fun shipping characters from different seasons and make some wacky combinations. So let's get started with the list. My first couple is one that is really dumb, but like, when you listen to it, I think it makes sense why I chose it. And it's Kloto from Gotchard and Zuos from Kamen Rider Saber. I just think this couple would be really funny because it would basically just be these two doing backflips and stunts, fighting each other, being in love with each other's carnage, and even though both are probably redeemed in the afterlife, or hell, they can probably be reborn as combat instructors. It'd be the Kamen Rider equivalent of Cobra Kai, but with the brutes, and I would love it. Plus, I mean, Zeus was originally a good guy, and Kloto technically is the creation of an abusive father who kind of destroyed his own family, but the sisters managed to reunite in death. So if Renee and Spanner managed to bring back Atropos and Lachesis for the dead, hopefully they don't ignore Kloto, because Kloto's awesome and we love her. And if you hate Kloto, we can't be friends. We can't be. Okay. Second, Utsumi from Kamen Rider Build and Yoko from Kamen Rider Gaim. This one's just really damn funny because both of these characters get criticized for technically being seen as having to rely on others to have a character. Though Utsumi kinda broke out of that mold to some degree. That being said, I was trying to figure out who would make sense for Yoko, and who better for someone unsure of what to do with being a follower their whole life than someone who focused on avenging everyone that mattered to them. These two could meet each other, well, if Yoko revived, and figure out what they want to do to their lives, free of anyone's influence. Also, before anyone gets mad at me, no, this is not me saying that I want them to break up with their partner if they are together with someone, because basically Yoko was Baron's girlfriend, lover, side piece, queen. No, you kind of have to become a monarch in order to become queen, and Lord Baron failed. But he was one at one point. Okay, moving on. My third choice is one that's going to make like 10 people mad at me. Hikaru from Revice and Yuka from Kamen Rider Faiz. Which, yeah, I said I was putting Kamen Rider characters. I never said it just had to be just Kamen Riders. But this is a pair that I actually think could be really interesting. Hikaru lost his entire family thanks to demons. Twice. And was only able to bounce back because of Sakura and his allies. Meanwhile, Yuka's family lost her love. And kind of their lives because they treated Yuka like absolute garbage. Hikaru needs someone to love him after the events of his show. And since I've heard some people say that Keitaro might be a bit too old for her, even though Keitaro and Yuka are probably one of the most well-received couples in Kamen Rider, well, if Yuka needs a high school student who knows what it's like to lose, and also someone who could help her with her bloodlust a lot better, given that both of them have also struggled with the fact that their families are kind of the driving source of their actions, I think these two could make each other better. Like, Hikaru would have someone to also fight for and move on with, and Yuka would have someone that would help control her bloodlust and not decide to murder as much people like she learned to do in Vice. Sort of. I gotta finish Vice one of these days. Alright. My number 4 romantic entry is Lee Angle from Kamen Rider Blade and Majade from Kamen Rider Gachard. Now, putting Rene with someone was a little bit tricky because her character is flexible enough to work with anyone, but I settled on Lee Angle for a few reasons. One, Lee Angle's not a bad person, and while he's not as empathetic as Hotaro, he would be seen as more sane. 2, Renee's not an idiot, and she'd be able to tell Mitsuki being possessed that she'd probably figure out an ideal way to stop the spider's influence. 3, given their character arcs are about becoming more self-reliant and also using animals and cards, these two can bounce off each other pretty well. I was a bit hesitant, but hey, sometimes things work out like that. For my 5th couple, we're going to go with Beast from Kamen Rider Wizard and Sachika from Kamen Rider Gaive. So I haven't fully watched Wizard, but I watched the scenes enough from different YouTube clips, the Guy movie, and the Helheim Force is basically, well, not basically, it's barely around now, save for the lock seats being used. Nito is going to need someone to help him feed Beast now that the Helheim Force is gone. Sachika's a sweet girl who would really benefit from someone actually telling her what's going on in her lives more consistently. And granted, technically have energy compared to his own. I'd say it could work. And yes, I have seen the images of Laika and Sachika. They do look cute together, and when I watch Gav, I will probably enjoy their dynamic there too. Number 6, and I know I'm going to lose people with this one, if I haven't lost you already, Hotaro from Kamen Rider Gachard and EU from Amazons. Oh boy, I gotta justify this one. Hotaro's a golden boy who's got a nasty habit of befriending and working with introverted women with issues. Izu is, I have issues, trauma, and barely feel human at all, the character. And he's not exactly privy to understanding romantic relationships. Dark as it is, Hotaro would probably investigate her situation and try to get her into high school or kickstart her memories, like Chihiro did. Plus, he can probably help her survive. Think about it. Hotaro is an alchemist, and if there's a bomb inside her, thanks to all his character development that he managed to gain over the course of the series, and the fact that that also tied into his ability to use alchemy, now he's able to actually dismantle the bomb so she could actually get a happy ending. Plus, EU seemed pretty normal when she got her memories back, and someone considered artificial yet still being humane and having a heart really isn't all that different from the Kemis when you think about it for a few minutes. 7th couple is Kitazaki from Kamen Rider Vice and Bebera from Kamen Rider Geats. So originally this was going to be Kuroto, but Bebera and her age is a bit of contention. So to make sure that I was not going to be put on a list and that this actually was less complicated, I went with a character that's perfect for Bebera's love for sadism and chaos, but also had an actor that was around the same age in their debut season, Kitazaki. Both are arrogant, self-absorbed, and consider themselves better than everyone else, especially with their childish behavior and outlook on suffering for others for fun. They're both psychopaths who only got done in by someone they undervalued, underestimated, and who caused their death. Although Bebera revived, but for people who keep forgetting about Kamen Rider lore and then go on YouTube and then tell people misinformation, yes, future people from the future can resuscitate into new bodies or have their bodies be revived. These two are a match made in chaos, and that's why I put them together. My 8th couple is Kusaka from Faiz and another Kiva. Kusaka is someone who fell in love with someone who would never fall in love with him, and yet resorted into manipulating his friends numerous times, so only he could be considered in charge, and the one the only one everyone can rely on despite numerous warnings that his time was coming to an end. Meanwhile, another Kiva is a psycho who fell in love with someone, couldn't get over it when he moved on, attempted to murder him and his girlfriend, then used Sogo's naive love for her to use him. Basically, these two believe that their noble heroes are in the right despite being anything but, and honestly, these two deserve each other. For number 9 is going to be one that I feel like people are going to say, oh yeah, that makes sense when you explain it. Sento from Kamen Rider Build and Akari from Kamen Rider Ghosts. So it's kind of a joke that Kamen Rider Build had its core 4 writers all end up in romantic relationships that were actually heterosexual, despite all the yaoi pairings and boys love vibes. Banjo with his girlfriend initially before ending up with Yui, Kazumi with Misora surprisingly, and Gentoku and Sawa, which was unironically set up since episode 1. Sento doesn't have a girlfriend, so I asked myself, who's a writer girl into science that's fairly useful, would be interested in Sento and Katsuragi, and play off him pretty well? Akari! Allegedly, her actress retired, which is a shame because I actually did enjoy her character a lot, and I thought she played off being the skeptic pretty well, but still useful to the plot. And I feel like her and Sento would probably just have like a lot of fun banter with one another. I like this one. As for my final ship, we have Takatora from Kamen Rider Gaim and Yaiba from Kamen Rider 01. Why didn't I think of this before? They're both anti-heroes with a semi-white motive who see their actions as a mean for the greater good, given the threat of AI and Helheim, but go way too far, and their true allies are scumbags that are willing to betray and use them for power. They both find an ally in the villains who help them out and encourage them to make a better choice, and end the show trying to be more productive in their lives. And I think they make a good couple, honestly. Takatora generally wants to do something beneficial for humanity, and is one of the strongest writers, while Yua's skills and training make her an asset, but she still needs to be more open with herself and other people. And given Takatora's been in love and is less hostile than Fuwa, this could be the relationship that would benefit both of them. And that's my list. There was a lot more I wanted to touch upon, but unfortunately the sickness kind of took the energy out of me. But I would love to do more videos like this in the future, or follow-up, assuming I actually have the creativity to come up with more couples that won't make my comment section super angry at me. Let me know how this is received, and I'd be willing to do another one in the future if the Zoko community likes it. So, BIP of Bizarre Interest Productions, signing off.